Shouldn't be very long. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So first, all right. Hi, everyone, and welcome to DevOps Live. Thanks for joining us. And today we're doing an offsite, so it's a little bit different. We are at the Russian Banya. So we're just talking about DevOps here, and then we're going to be giving a small presentation over VeeWee and Packer, which is a tool that allows you to automate the development of your base images. And so, yeah, I mean, we're just chilling out here, and I guess I could go ahead and jump right into it. So what I'm going to be showing tonight is VeeWee and Packer. And so if you don't know, do you guys know what Packer is? Have you heard of it? Okay, so yeah, so I've got it up on the screen. But Packer is a tool for creating identical machine images for multiple platforms from a single source of configuration. So what this means is that you can declare what your base VM should look like, and then from this small repository, it can generate like a VirtualBox image, or a VMware image, or parallels, or even images that can be deployed to the cloud. So your AWS, your Rackspace, those kind of things. So what I wanted to do is I want to do an example spinning up one of these boxes. We'll do one in VirtualBox because that's what I have, and then we'll do an example with VeeWee. So let's go ahead and get started. What I'm doing is there's this repository on GitHub called Box Cutter, and in the Windows VM repo, they have a huge collection of Windows images. And so, I mean, with Packer, you can build Linux, you can build. Tonight is how to get started with a Windows base image. So, so what I've done is, I've modified slightly one of the Windows 2012 R2 images, and so let's build one and kind of see what happens. So they have a makefile in this repository. I'm just going to run that, and something failed. Hold on. The reason it failed was because I already had this one. So let me kill this real quick. There we go. All right. So it's running now, and you can see this downloading the VirtualBox guest editions, and also copying my ISO for the Windows Server 2012 trial edition. So, and then after that's done, it's setting up the auto.unattend.xml file, so that way it can do an auto install of Windows without any user interaction. So you're probably familiar with those things. Yeah. So we'll just let that boot up, kind of show you how that's done. Cool.
I'm done with my plate. It all looks so good.
Yeah. Might have to speak louder.
I think I need to order something else.
Okay. Sami tam są bardzo. A on şişki var mı? Çıkın şişki var. Tam şişki kısmında diğer başka bir one rice, team vegetable.
Yeah, you guys online are probably going to get jealous, hearing us talk about all this food. It's pretty cool. So one thing that's unique about this image is it will install OpenSSH on it.
realized it was 40.
No, it's good. Yeah. So it's got open SSH on it, which means that you'll be able to do a Vagrant SSH as well as a Vagrant RDP into the box, so you can manage it, however you want to. But I do want to point out that with Packer, with the provider being Vagrant, being VirtualBox, it is creating a Vagrant box out of this. So I can just spin up this base image and then start applying some PowerShell or some batch scripts to it to make sure that my system is consistently, installing everything that's necessary every time I do it.
Are you configuring the original image? And this already has, you're saying this will have SSH built into it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, this is.
Can you get a binary post installed? There's nothing for you to do, right?
No, yeah.
Until it's with SSH.
So what I was going to do is after it's done with this whole process, I was going to walk through some of the JSON files, the auto unattend, show you kind of what brings it all together to install everything. Yeah. Yeah. Are there any questions up to this point? Like, does it make sense, its kind of purpose, what it solves?
Can you save that snapshot so you don't have to look at it all every time?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, we're building base images. You never have to build these ever again. Let me contrast. There's a community out there that already has tons of Windows and Linux boxes. There's a website out there, thevagrantcloud.com. And so it's easy to point in your Vagrant file to one of those URLs and download it. But if you take something from the community, you have less control over what's in it. And so when you really need more control, it's important to be able to build your own base images. And so just so that way you can feel better about security, you can. Yeah, you want to be able to build your own base images, and so.
More likely to remove stuff.
Exactly, yeah. So in this example here, I'm actually doing server core, so Windows 2012 server core. So really, it's just most of the GUI components are not available. It's just command line and whatnot. And if we take a look in the background, it's executing some shell scripts. Behind the scenes, doing it remotely. So,
what's the smallest memory footprint Windows system you've ever built?
Right. Yeah. So this server 2012 R2 server core, it is about 2.3 gigabytes, and takes maybe a minimum of 512 megabytes of RAM. So once
you're getting there.
Yeah, I know. It's no Linux,
I had a client.
Yeah.
I had a client that required a very small memory footprint.
Yeah.
Windows PPTP.
Yeah.
VPN server.
Yeah.
We got it. I don't know what you could get to. We got it down to 128 megs.
Whoa.
Running like a top.
2012 or what?
I don't know.
Oh.
This is, 2003.
Okay, 2003, right?
Nothing more. Like,
Yeah.
No mouse.
Yeah.
But it ran.
Yeah.
VPN service.
That's cool.
Routing.
Yeah.
When we used to work together, and one of our clients tried to install the headless version of our app on, it was like a CLR app for Service Foundation stuff. And they just kept adding more and more packages to make it work. Eventually it was full.
Really?
Before it worked.
That's funny.
Always decouple your code, too.
Yeah. So, as you can see, in the front, you don't really see much going on, but you'll see back here in the terminal, it's executing some things. Right now, it's defragging the hard drive. It'll delete some temp files, before it wraps up the base image. When it's finally done, it's going to compress the image, take it from its VMDK into, convert it in, that you can just add to your Vagrant repository, local repository.
What do you know about the source image requirements?
So
What can you feed it?
you can feed it any ISO, anything that the provider can read. So you set it.
Anything else?
Do what?
Anything else VMDKs?
So once you have a VMDK, Packer will actually allow you to convert from one provider to another. So you can feed it a VMDK and then get something that'll run in parallels or up on the AWS cloud. They'll do some conversions for you. But ideally, though, you would have your repository that has like a JSON file that declares the way that it should be built, and then you can just build to those different providers.
The reason I asked that question is because I think there's a use case for this. I haven't used it much. If it's really, really good at describing execute processes to a known state operating system, it'd be pretty handy for some of these host migrations.
Yeah.
The output of a host migration is VMDK.
I see.
Oftentimes, the consultants that VMware converter, VMDK is the output. If I could take a VMDK and then remediate, remove all hardware drivers or whatever, it's sweet.
Yeah, I mean, definitely check it out.
Prerequisites doesn't allow injection of VMDK.
Yeah. Let's see if we can find it on the Packer docs. So,
That's why I was running late today. Had to uninstall HP network configuration until there were 15 boxes.
good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't immediately see it. So it's still okay. So it's at the part now where it is it's exporting the image, and then it will bundle it up into a .box file. So almost there. Any questions up to this point? I'm eating food.
Just a regular old strip mall Russian bad guys.
All right.
God, is there anything in Dallas they don't put in the strip mall?
How's your food?
It was awesome. Nah. I guess. One trivia difference between VeeWee is written in Ruby and Packer is written in Go.
Go seems like it's the cool language now for all these tools.
Yeah, Go is becoming somewhat of a it's like a pivotal systems tool, like scripting tool. So if you do a lot of sysadmin work, it's good for you to learn Go. Yeah.
Me and Ruby get along.
Yeah.
I haven't ever written anything in Go.
Mhm. Yeah. So.
Does it have like bootload of pre-built libraries for cool stuff like SSH connections?
What, Go? Yeah, they have some. They have a pretty good built-in library, and then also to get dependencies, they have their own package manager as well. So yeah, it's pretty easy. The really popular reason people use Go is because of Go routines, which allows you to have message passing communication within your own application. So, well, it allows you to really do like everything asynchronously. Still going.
So how big is this image, you think?
It's about 2.3 gigabytes, I think.
Yeah, I have to read about that.
Yeah.
Application that communicates in application asynchronously.
Mm-hmm.
You have a pretty good tutorial online. It's like step by step, syntax and all that stuff. I haven't gone through all of them.
I'm so lazy, dude. I got like this one program that I just rewrite. It's just a big fat program that takes a vagrant image, takes out the packages that are in it, goes to DigitalOcean, creates a new DigitalOcean image, puts this packet, like I rewrite that program in different languages.
Yeah.
Java,
Right.
Ruby, PHP, and like that. That's how I figure out. Because
That's your hello world.
Yeah, well, going to a whole new. I gotta figure out the problem of the tutorial as opposed to how to do a case switch, how to do for loops, crap like that, and then this whole asynchronous messaging thing. Pretty cool.
Switched over so that way they could see us talking while it's still loading. I guess you'd have to unclick it, Alex, for it to go back over to us.
Are you on our meetup? You're on the meetup?
Yeah, he RSVP'd.
I looked at it.
Oh, I guess you have to click the other one.
I didn't have a
Yeah.
big
Yeah. Well, since the mic is only on this one will automatically always be the primary. So you have to click it so that way we see that one.
Hey, I've never administered a meetup. Does that site have facilities for us to post like files?
Yeah. But it's put in file type, like images.
Oh,
Yeah.
like text.
I mean, they have a little message board area.
You can attach, Dropbox links or whatever.
Right.
Those Dropbox will give you the public download links.
Hey, it finished. All right. Okay. So let me so what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the box I had before that replaced this. And then I'm going to add it again, the new one. So box add. Yeah. So what it's doing is it's taking that new .box file that I just created from this process, and then it's adding it to my box repository on my inside of Vagrant for me. So now I can reference a new box by this name, Windows 2012 R2 Server Core, and yeah, it'll use that as the base image, and then continue to go from there. And also, I can take this .box file and I can put it out on like Amazon S3 or something else, and then I can reference that URL and then download it from any Vagrant file. So let's see. Maybe we could. Yeah. Let's do. We're gonna make a new directory. We'll say. Okay. And then I'm gonna do a vagrant init. Emacs. We'll take a look at the contents. So let's take a look at our vagrant file. I'm gonna get rid of some of these.
Emacs loading in real time.
That's right. Okay. Hold on. We'll do vagrant. And this is the one that I care about. So I'm going to. One thing that is unique about Windows boxes is that you have to tell it which way you're going to communicate. And so this is set up to do both SSH and WinRM. I'm going to have it connect over WinRM at the moment. And I've got another example here. Let's see. Oops. And then we'll do, where is it? So if we take a look, .vm.communicator is WinRM. So we'll do that. And then, we could do some port forwarding if we wanted to. What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this section here. And so it's going to boot in headless mode, which means that we're not going to see VirtualBox pop up. The only VM is via RDP, so we'll RDP into it. And then I'm telling it to use 2 CPUs, and I'm allocating 4 gigs of RAM to it. So now, we're going to go and do a vagrant up. It takes a little bit of time. Any questions up to this point? Here you'll see we're doing our port forwarding. So the ports that you see forwarded there, it's RDP, it's WinRM, and there's SSH. All right, so my vagrant box is up now. If I do vagrant SSH, I am now inside of my Windows box. You can see my command prompt. I can do dir, I can do, and so, I mean, you can do anything that you wanted to, or that you can over SSH this way, but also you can RDP into the box. So I would have that here. Yeah, right. Normally, I don't recommend RDPing into a box. You should control it remotely. Let's see. Hold on. Shouldn't have to exit out of it, but there we go. All right. And here is my Vagrant box. You know, I can hit the Task Manager. You know, this is Windows Server Core, so you're not going to see too much going on right here. But you could do things. So using Vagrant at this point, it might be common for you to install IIS, you know, and then push your web files onto this box, you know, and serve that, and then port forward, you know, port 80. So that way, your local host, you would just hit localhost, and then whatever your HTTP port to, and then, you know, this would all be running in the background. You would just package this and just deploy your Vagrant file in this box, and then instantly, you know, the website is up and running. So, you know, you could do any kind of server, you know, that does like a TCP connection or anything else. It's port forwarding for that. So, are there any questions?
I'd like to see the declarative files for hackers.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so no box, because you know, we're done with that part. That's fine. All right, so we'll do. Oops. So, tell me you can still read this. Is this too small? No? Yeah, getting too small? We'll make it a little bit bigger. All right, so what you'll see here is that there are these JSON files here. So I can do 12012 R2 data center.json. And so it's just a JSON file that tells, that specifies configuration management URL and the checksum to use it. You can put in a collection of builders, and you know, it says, you know, this one is for the VMware ISO. Down here, we'll see the VirtualBox ISO guest host type. You know, it's setting up the SSH username and password, these kind of things. Floppy files are used by the auto-unattend.xml to install some of the scripts. So it's these are not yet the post-install scripts. These are you know, kind of still the bootstrapping stage. And then a shutdown command, your VM disk size, and you know, VM virtual hardware settings. And then over here, after the provisioners, it's getting into your post-install scripts, setting up all the VirtualBox guest editions here, having installed Chocolatey as well, which is like an apt-get for Windows. Familiar with that? Just doing some cleaning up, whatnot, and yeah. So this JSON file has everything that's necessary to build these base images, different providers like VMware or VirtualBox in this case. And then after that, it's just you know, here's your scripts that that we were talking about earlier. If you wanted to, you can take a look at XML, kind of see what it's setting for its you know, default answers through the GUI, so that way you don't have to type anything in. This key here, it does not come from my MSDN subscription. It is it's a trial key. So this box will expire in 120 days, but every time it's What do you mean? Oh, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Anytime I recreate the box, the 120 days resets. So from that one ISO, I can reset this unlimited times.
What's the policy of doing this in production?
Well, I mean, if your servers are short-lived, you know, then technically it's all kosher, right? Yeah. Technically, it's kosher then. Yeah.
They will sue your ass.
Well, no, I mean, so Microsoft OpenTech released. They released recently some Vagrant boxes that are a trial version of Windows that is meant for this kind of use. Short-lived development, iteration, stuff like that. So, all right. Is there any individual script file or anything that you want to take a look at in more depth?
Where'd you get those scripts?
So I got them from the repo. This one here. So, yeah, this.
Scripts the box or what this one? It said like 6 million and all this stuff.
Right.
Kind of a description of what's on that box.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So if I go to the Sigwin one, what it's doing is for SSH, instead of using OpenSSH, it's installing the SSHD from Sigwin. So it'll install Sigwin there instead. Yeah. Yeah, and each of these JSON files here are pointing to a different ISO. For example, this one, for server 2008. These ISOs that are mentioned in these files are they don't have URLs, so it's not downloading them from there. So you've got to download them elsewhere. And then what I did is I created a make.local file. So now this isn't specific to Packer. This is specific to repo that we're dealing with. But I can take a look at this file. So. Config management tool is. I'm saying no config versus Puppet or Chef. And I'm changing the URL for my Windows 2012 R2 image and also the checksum for that. So does that stuff all make sense? Sound cool? All right. We've got a little bit of time left. Let me jump over to so with VeeWee, you do a similar kind of workflow. You take a look at available. They have a templates directory here with all those. So Windows 2012, R2. And they've got the auto intent here and the scripts files. So, so the directory structure is a little bit different. Build it and export it just like you do with Packer, but it's different commands. And you can set your provider. Your provider to being VMware or VirtualBox. Similar with Packer as well. So, so I don't know if you want to walk through that entire, building your base image. Again, watching VirtualBox pop up and reinstall Windows from scratch, but it basically does the same thing. And so what you can do is bundle exec build, and then you put in your name. Export step. So then if you do export your box, and that'll create your box file, just like you saw with Packer. And that's it. Cool. Any questions, thoughts, ideas? No?
I'm out this stuff.
Right.
This is good.
Yeah. Cool. Well, I was on the presentation. I'm going to stop the broadcast.